means to supply with the means, knowledge, or opportunity. So I think a lot of times when we think of enable, we think of like you're enabling someone to do something bad. Like that's what I was thinking. You know, you're an enabler. But I want us to think about this in the sense of making something possible for someone, giving them the means and the knowledge and the opportunity to have these images forever. Because ultimately, it's really not about us. Like in 50 years, it's not about me taking those pictures anymore. It's about them being on those images and passing them down. And the people who are, you know, looking at them in 50 years really don't care who I am.
Can I say something?
They care that they have them.
At all of my session premieres, she takes a picture of my grandmother who raised me, and it's from the 30s. It's a picture from the 30s. It's mounted just like what we mount, and she always talks about how I have it in my home and I have several like that, and that these are heirlooms. And that's how she starts out. So she hands over that, like, however old it is, picture. And then she's like,
"Is it really your grandmother?"
Yeah.
I know that too. Like, randomly to show how it's priceless.
It
You know, like
it's mounted just like we mount ours.
because they never
Yeah.
depreciate. They
Yeah.
only appreciate.
And she talks about, you know, and when I talk to them on the phone, that's what I lead out with is I have these pictures of my grandmother. They're so special to me, and that it's like what I would grab in a fire, and they're priceless and they're forever, and you know, all through my home and.
Yep.
It just from the beginning, it's like I always talk about my prints as heirloom prints. I always say the word heirloom like several different times.
I do that. And then I tell them, like, just imagine your child when you're gone, you have these pictures.
You say that?
Well, and that's not what I asked before, but then they're like, oh, my child did this, and they'll be amazed.
What do you do?
I always talk
It's
a
not
lot
just
about
like
keepsakes.
present.
I talk a lot about generations, and I think it's important to use stories. When you're doing your session premieres, when you're on the phone, you need to come up with, like, Chelsea has her story about her grandmother. I share 2 stories in almost every single session premiere and on the phone. One story is about the fact that I have no images for about 5 years of my life. So me having braces, there is nothing. There's no anything of that. So I can talk about that and share that. I talk about the first portraits that we ever had done professionally, and how expensive they were, and how we really had to think about it. And I tell them the story about how at the beginning my favorite ones were the perfect ones, where my kids like had the most perfect smiles. And I say, but today, those aren't my favorite ones. Today, oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. Today there's this picture of Addie where she makes this little face, and I didn't like it. Like, it annoyed me that she had made this face, because she always made that face, and I was just like, And now it's my favorite because she doesn't make that face anymore. Like, she got bigger and that face is gone. And I'm like, I'm so glad I spent the money and I have those digital negatives because I have that silly face. And so that's one of the stories that I tell them, like when we're talking about collections and when we're talking about investing. And then I always talk about the digital negatives up until they have fully bought it and I've already run their credit card. Because there is one thing I say that's different than this. But I always talk about the digital negatives, never in the sense of doing anything with them other than archiving. And I talk about make sure you have an additional disc, make sure I put it in a safety deposit box, go keep it at someone else's house. You know, and I'm really like, this is special, this is important, and I really focus on that. Then the only time I say anything that contradicts that in any way is that after they have completely purchased, a lot of times they'll be like, oh, we should have gotten something for Aunt Janice, right? And I'll say, no, you have the disc, just go get some prints and use that. And sometimes they want like the quality, so I wouldn't say that, but a lot of times they've already kind of like swallowed a lot, you know, to invest. And I want them to genuinely know, I'm not trying to get every dollar I can out of you. Like, I seriously care about you. Use the disc, you have it, go get some prints. And I give them, you know, a really good lab that's local that they can go use to get it done, so that it's not, you know.
We have one pro lab in my town that I
We have one in Portland. I'll have to look at it. I'll let you. Yeah, so you know, so I just send them. So that's the one time where I actually talk about the disc with printing, but they have always already had their credit card run before I say that. Now that I have that, let me tell you, you don't need to add
beforehand if they haven't ordered yet, but they are going to be ordering the disc. Okay.
Then I'm only talking about it as archival, as keepsake.
Okay,
as
what if
like,
they say, okay, we want collection 2, we're getting the images, and then they are like, okay, we're going to da-da-da-da-da, and they're like, okay, wait, we still need prints for.
I'll
so and
say,
so.
no, it's okay.
But they haven't earned their credit card yet.
Okay, I guess you're right, but they fully committed, and
Yeah.
I already have that credit card.
Okay. Oh, that's true. It's actually committed.
Too bad I already got it.
You're getting
So yeah, so like, because a lot of times they do add-ons, but I would prefer their add-ons to be a cluster, mini albums, or extra prints for their image box, because those are mounted and that's different, right? Or like those kind of add-ons, absolutely I want those add-ons. But when it comes to just like a loose gift print, I just feel like I'm like, no, it's okay. Like you have the disc and I don't know, just for some reason, and that's just me. Like I'm sure some of you are like, no, I just ring that up and that is fine.
You just
Yeah, and that's totally fine. But just for some reason, for me personally, I don't know. Whenever it's like a loose print, and there's times where like it's different. Like they're framing for something, and so I'll be like, you know, because I've explained a lot of times that the mounted prints frame so much nicer, and I always explain, you know, that cardboard that's inside the frame, that's because a loose print isn't going to sit as well. The mounted print is going to sit better. You don't need that little cardboard. And I talk about those kind of things. So when I've talked a lot about that and they're thinking about certain things, then we might go for the prints because it makes sense. But if they've already been like, you know when they're already like, okay, we're doing this, you know, and they're already like, then I like, no, it's, so yeah. And again, that's that instinct thing. That's the thing where it's really hard because it's like, there's a lot of decisions I make that do not make sense. They contradict everything that maybe I say, but with them, I could just feel that I wanted to do it. There are decisions that I make all the time that are not smart business decisions. Like I maybe lose money or I basically gave money away or whatever the case is, but just my heart told me, no, just do it. And so I did. So I don't really know how to explain those ones.
Okay.
Just,
I got it.
sometimes I do that.
Got it.
Remember her? Okay, so